streaming.
All right, so I think we'll call to order the Governance Strategy and City Operations Committee meeting Thursday, March 1st. And I guess we'll start with a roll call.
Councilor Kretzer?
Here.
Mayor Reed?
Present.
Councilor Kelly?
Here.
Perfect.
City Clerk Parrott? Here. Motions and Special Events Coordinator Sandra? Here.
All right, perfect. We'll get things started. We'll start off with any comments from the public. If anyone has any public comments for the committee, then now's your time to address us. Sure, that'd be great if so the people at home can hear.
How you doing? Hi.
I was in last month, Perry Buck from Plattsburgh City Taxi. Back in December, we requested a great increase for the taxi maximum fare in the city. I just haven't heard anything from anyone. I'm wondering where that stands at this point.
Councilor Armstrong and I are in the process of reaching out to the owners of the taxi companies to arrange a meeting for all of us to get together to start a dialogue and kind of understand what your needs are, expectations, get a little more education as far as the industry, and then be able to make some recommendations from there.
Do you have any kind of timeline on that?
It would be the meeting probably mid-March, we're hoping.
Okay.
And actually,
yeah, I mean, I'm going to be gone the last week of March until the second week of April. I just want to make sure that I'm involved.
Would you be able to Skype or audio, telephone in?
and I guess it would be helpful to,
possibly.
It's helpful to know what times of the day are usually the least busy for to have a meeting.
I'm available anytime.
Okay.
I
was just thinking,
I'll make myself available.
Like as far as the other taxi owners,
I'm not sure.
Yeah, if there was a time during the day when it's not as.
Came to the last one, we had 2 years ago, right?
Yes.
And I think we did that like 6 hours.
Was it in the
I
evening
think
or
so.
no?
It was like it was 5:30. It was a common.
It was a work session.
It was a work session. Yes.
Okay, I just didn't know if that was rush hour, if that was just a nutty time to be away from things, but if that's.
With that said, I mean, if I could just briefly read what the ordinance, the purpose of the whole ordinance, just so in case, I don't know if you've all read the ordinance or not.
Yes.
Just so you have something to think about, I guess. The Common Council of the City of Plattsburgh finds that public safety and convenience requires that the businesses of carrying persons in motor vehicles for a fee or charge be regulated and the minimum standards be established regarding the qualifications of operators and the physical conditions of such vehicles. I mean, this is something that was written back in the 90s, I believe. But that was the purpose of it. Why they decided to get involved in taxi businesses, I assume there were some issues back then with vehicles, maybe operators. I'm not quite sure. That's a little bit before my time. But nowhere in that purpose does it state about controlling the amount of money that a business owner should make or shouldn't make, or the people that work for them. I just want to, reiterate that. I think I did at the last meeting. We are a privately owned corporation, and I just don't feel like I'm being treated fairly at this point in time by the city of Plattsburgh.
Well, and this is, the reason why we wanted to bring all of the taxi owners together,
But
all
again,
the stakeholders.
this is the same story that I heard December 6th when I came to the meeting 3 months ago, and was told it would be a few weeks. And the same thing I heard last month when I came, it would be a few weeks. Again, this is an important issue for me. It may not be an important issue for the people here or this, the city. You guys have much bigger issues than what this is. But this, for me, is my life. This is how we live. I just want to put that out there, and so you all understand how important this is to me.
We'll get the meeting on the books within the next
I appreciate
few
it.
days.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your patience.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Seeing none, we'll move on. Let's see here. Reports from department representatives and discussion with councilors. So actually, just in the essence of time, why don't we move ahead to just the agenda items. All of the requests from Sandra Geddes, let's see, Fleet Feet. So I'm comfortable with the special events. So I'm willing to move those forward from committee. Street drives, I'm comfortable with. Is there any?
There's one available date left,
Okay.
July 14th, so
Okay.
if these are all approved, then that would be the only date.
Right. And then the Plattsburgh Farmers and Crafters Market Group, that's on the agenda for approval. Lake Forest. So this falls under, is it community development?
Hi.
No, just the request about Lake Forest. Is that, I guess, which part of our committee does that fall under? Or is that not really our committee?
I mean, it's hard to fit it in, yeah.
Sometimes the work of your committee in planning overlaps with infrastructure,
Okay.
so it could have presumably also gone to infrastructure.
City operations, yeah.
Okay.
They just needed it.
There's just,
There's
there's a
a rush to-
timeliness
yeah,
issue
gotcha.
for that one.
Okay. And obviously this has been in the works for a while, and I'm.
Yeah, it's the same license terms that we've used in the past. Again, it requires them to preserve the mature canopy, they can't destabilize the bank. They do the work, it's all at their expense, they're indemnifying us, they're dealing with the railroad.
Right.
Eventually may result in improved vistas, so that may help
I'm
the public.
completely
and
comfortable.
Yep,
Yeah,
okay.
that's great.
Councilor Armstrong is with us.
Hey, Rochelle.
Hey.
Let's see where else. We're also looking at Friends of the Saranac River Trail and the sculptures. That's something that we had a lot of discussion about a few months ago.
Yeah, several months ago.
Yeah. And I was comfortable then.
We're talking on Kevin?
Yeah, number 7.
Okay.
There's
And
some contractual legal issues that Dean has since worked out with them.
so that's, and you're comfortable and confident with all of those, so I am as well.
Is there any cost associated with that? Because I remember we talked about cement
I think that they had
pads
it all funded.
completely funded.
I'm almost certain that. it's-
DPW felt that there wasn't any real undue burden on them.
Yeah, I mean, the original resolution is no cost to the city, so absent a really minor internal city, attention that it requires, there's no hard cost to the city.
Okay.
Yeah, oh, I'm sorry. Sure, so number 4 with the info booth.
I don't know if you guys have any questions about that, the lease agreement, or,
Has it changed too much?
it's changed a little, but not, I'm hoping it's changed enough to get more people interested. Last year, we had about 4 or 5 people, it didn't pan out. So far this year, I've had 2 individuals. So I'd like to advertise, and let them know that the advertising's out there, but generally let the public know that the information booth is available. And they should be looking in next week's paper if you agree to allow me to advertise in terms of what will be available, the draft will be available in my office.
Can I just ask, when you say last year 4 individuals showed an interest, but it didn't pan out, did they just lose interest? I mean, out of 4, I would have thought we'd have 1. Is there a stumbling block for them or for us?
For them. It
Okay.
actually just didn't work out.
Did they each have their own set of reasons, or was there one blanket reason for?
Nope, so one, well, actually, when they go in and look at the space, that was, so they had interest until
Okay.
they
All
went
right.
in and saw the space is smaller than, and you bring your own equipment in, and so that was an issue with a few of them, so, I mean, it's just,
Just nobody thought our terms were unreasonable? Or
not the terms.
We weren't
They did
user-friendly
change
or?
the terms a little bit to
Right.
make it a little better, if they did want to.
Okay.
Have additional costs that they might incur with it.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we get somebody.
How much does it cost to advertise, Sylvia, do you know?
I don't, I would say probably $60, $65. I mean, that's,
It's not much, yeah.
and I run it for 3 days.
Rochelle, can you hear us?
Yeah, I think, earphones will help.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, no, you sound clear. Right before you got on, I just said that I was comfortable moving the events from Sandra to, from the committee to the meeting.
Okay.
The street drives I was comfortable with. Do you have any questions about street drives or?
No.
And then, let's see what else. And then in regards to the parking study, I'm confident with the work that was done, and I'm ready to accept the parking study.
Okay, me too.
You do have nothing, no questions?
No, I mean, I'd asked for a couple of illustrations. Are you there?
Yeah, we're here.
Yeah, and I got those, and
Okay.
that was the clarity I needed, just that area where there was a suggestion that we'd have 2 alternate lots, one on couch, one on court. And then we got the illustrations, and that's fine.
Perfect.
So through this, would you be accepting the report and then be willing to have it go public so we can begin the public discussion phase of this?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Let's see, any old business or anything else that you can think of?
We have to move these onto the agenda first.
Oh, so I guess I'll make a motion to move these items and recommend them for vote at the meeting.
Second. Aye.
Old business. And Mr. Buck was here, Rochelle, I think, before you came.
Okay.
And he was just asking about when we'd be getting together. I told him that meetings in the work that we're scheduling and trying to align our schedules for, I think it was the 12th.
Right, the 12th.
So, and I told him that we'd be contacting the owners of the different cab companies to have them come so that we can all talk together, collaborate, and find out,
Yes.
what'll be good recommendations moving forward.
We'll make progress.
Absolutely. So, any old business?
No?
If not, as far as new business, Councilor Armstrong and I have been in communication with members of the Plattsburgh Farmers and Crafters Market Management, and I was hoping maybe the mics would be here, but it's something that we can talk to them later. But in the past, historically, there hasn't been enough space at the Farmers Market Pavilion and at that area to be inclusive to all of the people who'd like to participate in the market as far as vendors and producers. And I know that we expanded size to be more inclusive in the past years, but still it seems like over the past few years, there's still an average of 4 or 5 vendors that there just is no room to accommodate them. And Councilor Armstrong and I were wondering if the council would be amenable to stretching, increasing the footprint even further to make the farmers market even more inclusive, and potentially following the line of the pavilion just straight across, where I don't think it would interfere too much with parking, and then barricades and even snow fencing or something could be put so that people are not able to park in that area, because in conversations with folks from the market, they said that sometimes the barricades, people are able to get around them and park in this area that is supposed to be reserved for vendors. So I think that's something that DPW can do at virtually no cost. But as far as new business, we were curious if the council would entertain the notion of, expanding the market just a little bit more so that they could be more or less fully inclusive to everyone who's asking to participate, which I think would create a more robust market. And because we did have a request from some vendors who have been unsuccessful in getting into the market in the past that were looking for alternate locations somewhere within the city, and it just seems to make sense to me to have all of these people in one place the same day so that it's a reason for people to come and get everything that they need.
So is the question room or the question of too many vendors vending the same thing?
Well, and that's something that the members of the market management voiced to me, that they try to limit the number of each type of vendor so that there's not 5 honey producers and 15 vegetable producers. So that's something to be to keep in the front of our minds, but at the same time, there are vendors, selling vegetables that other vendors may not have. So, one vendor may have something that another doesn't have. And I guess I'd be willing, if you would be willing, if anyone from, if any of you would like to say a few words, or, you know, I know I spoke with Pat, you know, kind of at length, and she seemed to be amenable to this idea of providing a little more space so that there could be, you know, more vendors added, which would create a more robust market. But if you have any other insight, then I'd love to hear it. If you guys, if the council doesn't mind.
Sure, no, I'd like to hear it.
I'm Dick Crawford, president of the Farmers Market. We've had several issues over the years. Parking's been a big issue. When we've tried to barricade off areas of the market, and we wind up having to call the city police to come and move cars, and we get no cooperation there because they're in a legal parking space. These are the answers we're giving. We run by a board of directors. We have a committee who interviews people who want to apply for the job. We've taken applications from the people you've spoken about. In the past, they haven't chose to go by our rules and regulations. We have a no CSA pickup rule, which they want to do. Last year when they wanted to get in our market, they sold us the idea that they had 85 CSA members that they would bring with them to come in our market, but that's not our rules and regulations right now. So we don't want to have what's happening in the city right now, where you got a drugstore on every street corner like you used to have gas stations on every street corner. We don't want to have, we got 6 producers, vegetable producers now. And if we allow 4 more in, like one year, the board allowed 4 of the honey producers in. And we all sat there and I sold $7.50 worth of honey in 6 hours. The following year, the other 4 people didn't come back because they thought I was making money hand over fist. When they realized that they weren't doing it, they didn't come back. It's just, we have rules and regulations we go by. We try not to have, like I said, 10 or 15 honey or vegetable producers there. We try to have a balanced market of different venues in there. And when you spoke about them having some products that other people don't, when they had the market here in Trinity Park, the guidelines that they had, they told people, you can come, but you can't bring this because someone else is bringing that. You can't bring this because I'm bringing that. You can't bring this because someone else is bringing that. So basically, they were controlling what did or didn't come into the market.
Right.
And
I guess I'm just thinking of, you know, markets that I've visited, you know, throughout the country, in big cities and small cities, and the larger the markets, it seems like there are more of each of these style of producers and vendors involved.
Attracting more people.
Exactly.
I could agree with you if we didn't already have probably at least nine other markets privately owned in the city. And the one we had at the air base a couple of years, that was privately owned. They controlled the people that went in and out of there.
Right.
That did not materialize. It did not attract the public. It did not attract the community. And when they started in the hospital, I applied to get into the hospital when they were doing the produce there, and I was told I can't get in. In Saranac Lake, when I applied there, I was told I couldn't get in.
Why didn't they want you, or the farmers?
It's privately owned. They privately control it. We are CSA 5. We are a non-for-profit organization. We have a board of directors we have to answer to. And we are, a corporation.
Right. Just, you know, because the city, you know, doesn't necessarily want to be in the business of managing the market, which is why we ask for help every year. But when we keep receiving these type of concerns where it seems like there's an exclusivity, I know it concerns me. I think it concerns Councilor Armstrong from conversations that we've had. And in my conversations with Pat Parker, it seemed like there would be a willingness to, you know, to allow, if we give you the space to accommodate everyone who applies, that you would let everyone in that applies.
Not applications. There again, we review the people that do apply to where we don't wind up with 10 15 honey producers or produce producers, okay? We just try to keep a diversified market going, that's all. Some of the folks in our market, when they were in Trinity Park, they applied, were not allowed to get in. And a lot of those folks didn't come back last year because they didn't make money, basically the bottom line. And only 1 or 2 of them did, and only 1 or 2 of them wound up in front of the government center. Because they're no longer set in front of Comfort Inn,
Right.
because they've got moved out of there.
Okay. Rochelle, do you have any thoughts or comments?
Well, I mean, I concur that the kind of feedback I got and the kind of encouragement I've gotten over time is in favor of more offerings. And while I know that there's the board's concern and your organization's concern about limiting diversification because you don't want redundancy, I can't help but feel that in terms of a draw, in terms of, you know, creating a vibrant market, that more offerings would be preferable. But, I mean, I understand your concern. I just think it's, you know, there's,
Yeah, I guess.
I tend to think that it would be healthier to have more offerings.
Well, and especially if we're willing to accommodate the size of all of your applicants, then why would you say no to anyone, is what I don't understand. And I guess I do understand the duplication, but I also kind of think that, you know, competition is very healthy.
Yeah, same as you guys, we're running on a board of directors. We also listen to our members. Our members tell us what the way to go and which way to do, and basically this. Last year, we made the suggestion that eventually they want to move the market out, and I think Rochelle said they want to move it down to the marina. We made the suggestion to take that group of folks, move them to the marina, let them get started, let them get established, and then when you do close us down, then you'll have that set up and established to move us down there. And I think that was offered to them, and they said no.
I would just be curious to know what your process in deciding which of these vendors that you select every year. And if your process is, if they've vended with you in the past, then they're welcome to come back again in the future. And if that fills every spot for that type of producer, then there's never an opportunity for a new producer to enter the market, which that to me is a little troubling.
Well,
That's kind of a controlled market then.
Yeah.
no, I think you'll find in just a matter of years, there'll be some of them dropping out only because of age and retirement. And that'll come wide open, and it'll happen.
Okay. Rochelle, did you have any other thoughts or questions?
No, I'm still kind of absorbing what Mr. Crawford said. I had been encouraged based on your conversation with Pat Parker.
I was too.
And I was thinking that we had an agreement that we would be able to expand, so I don't know.
I know. I'm a little concerned as well.
Are we allowed to speak here?
Yeah, of course.
May I ask Mr. Crawford a question?
Of course.
Disagree.
Mr. Crawford,
Yeah.
and the other members of your group, to all these people who want to come to a farmer's market and sell their produce or wares, what would you recommend to them? These people who you don't let in, what would you say to them? What would you recommend that they do?
Some of these folks belong to other farmers markets. The other farmers markets started one in Keysville to expand the ability of markets in the area. Some of the organizations that came one year, actually one weekend, and never came back. The market we had in Saranac Lake, they chose not to participate in that one. They go down the road and set up their own market, and or set up in the hospital and run their own
No,
organization.
we're talking about here in Plattsburgh.
Yes,
Mr.
it's the
Crawford.
same people in Plattsburgh as in those markets.
So if there were 10 vendors who you didn't let in,
Yeah,
you're saying they should go to Saranac Lake?
they have.
Okay, so they don't really have an opportunity here in our city then. It's you guys or nobody. Is that what you're saying to us?
No.
Because if that is what you're saying to us, what you're talking about may be illegal.
They have
I
had
don't
the
know that we can
opportunity.
support
No,
that.
they've had the opportunity. They've done it in Trinity Park. I was under the impression that it was not going to be a farmer's market in Trinity Park when I was spoken to about it, and it wound up to be that.
Yeah, year after year, you come to us and you make these requests, and it just seems like you created an exclusive club that nobody else can join.
Right.
That's not true. We've got a new baker came in last year from, in that organization.
I guess I just don't understand why, if we were to be willing to expand the market to a size that would be inclusive of these average of 4 vendors that aren't able to get in every month, why you wouldn't just say.
Can you assure me that they will go by our rules and regulations? Can you assure me that?
I guess I can't necessarily
Okay.
assure that.
Then I'll take it back to my board, I'll take it back to my membership, and let them decide if they do or don't want.
Is that something that you then, so then we would be tabling our decision today then? And
Right.
we would have to wait to find out what it is that you decide to do and what your group would decide to do regarding the inclusivity of more people. Because right now, people feel that they're not being served.
Question.
Yeah.
Don't market forces correct a lot of what you're talking about? I mean, the example you gave was 4 honey vendors came and then you only made $7.50 on honey. And then the next year, the other 3 didn't show up. And I would imagine that that kind of corrects itself if you allow more people in. People aren't going to want to be selling what everyone else is selling. They're going to want to have a unique product. If not a unique product, then hopefully a product that differs from other people. So wouldn't that kind of correct itself even if you allow these other people in? I imagine the market forces would dictate what people sell, and they're going to sell the thing that they can get the highest price for.
I can only tell you what's happened in other markets. When those other folks did go into the markets, they wound up crashing. They wound up with 6 produce people in a market. The 4 that were there originally wound up leaving because they were not making any money because they were being undercut by.
Well, that's free market capitalism for you.
Yes, I understand it is.
Mhm.
And that's why the markets failed.
So do you think that you would be able to somehow communicate with your membership in regards to this issue within the next week?
Yeah, well, we have a meeting set up, what? Next Saturday.
Okay, so then I would feel comfortable, I guess, tabling this for now until we can have a little more clarity in regards to the membership's desires. Especially given the opportunity that we may potentially be offering with an expansion.
Okay.
Do you hear during the course of Saturday and Wednesdays, gee, I wish you had, or is there anybody here with, or who's got, do you hear complaints about your market from the people who are attending?
Well, I hear people coming to our market that like our market better, what's going on in our market, better than what happened in front of the government center last year. Those are comments that the public makes to me when they come through. If that was a good success up there, then I don't have a problem with it continuing again up there, if that's what they want to do. It's just you've got some people want something and some people don't want it.
And foot traffic doesn't always mean people are there to spend money.
Foot traffic does not mean.
Right, and I mean, that's the bottom line you want to sell. Because one person who encouraged me to let in a certain vendor complained, well, last year I had to double park on Breakerhoff Street, grab my box, put it in the car and go. If you had it in the parking lot, it'd be a lot easier for me. So that person isn't probably going to be somebody who walks around and shops because they get a grab-and-go box to go with.
If they got a grab-and-go box to go with, that person paid for a CSA membership in advance, $500 and some a year, to get that grab-and-go box.
Right.
Okay, in terms of the reason the market has chosen over the years not to have CSAs here is we want the public to come and look through the whole market, not come and just from that one vendor grab their box and get in the car and leave.
Yeah, here's what I've observed, however, because I've I've been around that market and I've seen people come and collect their CSA box, but I've also seen people who are shopping, who are kind of meandering and picking up this, that, and the other thing. Even when, you know, a CSA operates out of a truck, and you know, there was one that used to be parked right across from the co-op, and I used to pick there, but there were people who came just to shop, and that was allowed as well.
And also, you know, I'm looking at these people that would be going to an isolated area to pick up their CSA, and then they would have no opportunity to buy honey or have no opportunity to buy any of the things that their particular CSA doesn't offer. So I guess that would be something that I would say for you to bring back to your membership, just to consider, you know, could this potentially be a benefit to everyone else? Maybe not to those people that are selling the same vegetables or the things that that CSA is offering, but it's not just about those people, it's about the benefit of everyone at the market, the people that are dealing art and jewelry and honey and everything else. So I'm just grateful that you're willing to go back to the membership to kind of bring this information to them. In the meantime, we can work with Public Works about how we can secure the area with parking so that we can make sure that people are unable to get into that area. So I think this year is going to be a good year for the market, and we'll hopefully have some positive changes all the way around.
Is there one more way to look at it? I think somebody used the analogy of having 2 drugstores on every corner. Why 2 drugstores? Couldn't we have one farmer's market on Saturday mornings and then have another market sometime during the week for the CSA people so they could have their market and maybe on a Wednesday night or something like that? Would you all find a concern with that?
That was offered to them before, but the issue is that we have an insurance policy, and you agreed to let us have it. We have an insurance policy that covers us in the building. It's in our agreement from Mother's Day weekend until Columbus Day weekend, and that was the issue as to why they weren't allowed to give them, because it's under our insurance policy. They did not have an insurance policy.
It doesn't necessarily need to be in that building though, right?
Another location.
Another location somewhere. Would you all have concerns with that?
If they, another location, I don't have a problem with it.
And that's pretty much, I think, what they're saying is that if any of these vendors want to, they can just go start their own market.
Right.
Just so you know, we have an individual in our market. As long as you're a veteran, served your time in the service, you can set up at anywhere in New York State on a New York State highway and sell anything you want, as long as you've got that permit from the state to do that. And as long as you're a veteran, it's open to anybody.
Mr. Crawford, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We will we'll be in touch and we'll be in communication.
Thank you.
So I guess we're just about out of time, so I guess I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
And let's begin the working session for tonight's Common Council. This is an opportunity for us to have a little bit of an extended discussion on any items on the agenda. And we will have a need for executive session tonight. If you would entertain executive session.
Sorry, we just asked for a fourth one for a matter of personnel, for a particular person.
Okay. The executive session will be the purpose of pending litigation, Barrington and Peters, potential litigation with the town of Plattsburgh, a basis for me to sign a contract with regard to license of real property with publicity which would substantially impact the value thereof. And the fourth would be a matter of personnel issues.
Involving a particular person.
Involving a particular person.
So moved.
To move, so do we have a second?
Are we going into executive session now?
We are.
We are.
Okay.
I will.
Okay, thanks.
Second by Councilor Kelly. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. This may be about 15 or 20 minutes.
So we should invite Bill and Brendan first.
It's 2 hours. We can do that. Please do not. I can do that. Okay, I'll watch for you.
Yeah, did you have some background on that? Bring with me.
And the thing is, if they go past 10:30, they have to pass, they have to, suspend the rules. Yeah, suspend the rules. Past 10:30. So they're constantly suspending the rules.
Can't pay attention.
Oh, I know, I'm sorry, this one was for electricity.
Look at that. I should look at the New York Times News because the station got a subscription, and when they get the subscription, they're like, they sure you use it at work and don't use it that much that we don't overdo the subscription.
No.
I'm like, what do you do? I pay.
Yesterday, we're talking about. Say Ellen and they say Phil. So I can still get it.
I think you can get it, but I think you have to get it by mail.
Well, what it is, they go through like this packet type of users, and they run them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But what they do, they put refrigerated areas. They cut holes in the walls, in the roof, water fans in the building. Landlord's surprised at the amount of landlord over one place last year wound up having his son oh, you'll know, because they're pulling up, I got a call, about 2 months ago, I got calls that they want 50 megawatts of power, 100 megawatts of power. That's a real, you're right. Nobody noticed it. They all know more power. In fact, one guy called the manager of Messina about a month ago, and they asked for 5 gigawatts of power. And he laughed him off the phone. He said that's what it is in New York. There is no way you're going to get that. And the guy and his sister here for 5 years. No, they don't have a clue. No, they don't get it. I've talked with him. He's talking to him. I talked with him more probably more than he has. And they told me point blank, they don't care anything about Plattsburgh. They just want the cheap power. That's all they care about. They don't live here.
You get a chart about cheap electricity in Plattsburgh? Okay.
That's what it is. They don't create any jobs. They don't do any capital improvements. Except one case, I thought I was going to get rid of them, he wound up doing it. And then they don't pay any property tax or anything else.
It's just to stop that. Yeah, but, you know, I was worried this week.
Yeah, I mean, I got a call from a guy who, 2 months ago, who told me he's gonna put 40 cicadas here. And he's gonna rent out parking lots, different parts of the city, set these things up, 4 or 5 high. And he says, all you gotta do is, I'll get them where I can get it, you just have to connect the power. I don't know what height. But then I called him and I said, you know, the guy might actually show up with these things, and they're not gonna be the brand new thing out of factory. He's gonna buy them out of the shop or something.
Yeah, I mean, it's.
So I mean, arrested and what stuff. It'll be a nice can't do this I've also got something in my association, the public service commission, they will pay a higher tariff. Well, right now, the customer's not. This, well, any additional power that I can provide, going to buy this, they don't have to pay for it. Right now, the way the basic law is, if I have power, which I do, subsidize these, here we are. I'm hoping to correct all that. It's not going to be, we'll find out about a few weeks, hoping probably it's not going to be this year, but I can do something in the future. Well, once you get out of the phone season, you get you out well, I'm not going to make any money on it. I'm going to break even because instead of you paying for that extra, they're going to pay their whole. That's the thing. But I'm hoping a combination of getting the most cost up front and then hitting the cost at the other end. A lot of them go to Canada. I hear Hydro Quebec is going to get the power away. So, let's go in there. Well, Hydro Quebec is so powerful. Here we get it. Hey, John. Mr. Ralph. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Are you trying yet? Well, I know that she's kind of cut down here like you are. Well, I'm also with ED too. No,
Yeah, we don't want to be confused with one of those.
Oh, yeah, gotcha.
Now, one of those I expected more from you.
Well, when I was going through it, we were looking at the electrical, mechanical. The electrical, mechanical groups are now around 30, 35. I don't know if it's a day. But when I was taking it, because the old was the
well, that is actually right.
you didn't have the local question for yeah, but they changed the exam. So when I took it, you had a little book, and then you had to explain everything you could do with what you know. And there was a lot of candidates, task force codes. Okay, the numbers have gone up there. Yeah, they used to be pulled down to 30, except the one time the civils came in at 75%. Well, good thing it is not a political because you have to take that more account.
I just have to keep going around like crazy.
You gotta take another tax. Well, actually, I did try that once. I took the Friday, and then I took the PE and the Saturday. I wouldn't recommend it. Surprisingly, I didn't study for the mainly because, well, I didn't know the format of the exam. Well, I went back the second time I got it right. Yeah, you would all get the funny thing was, when I got the in the morning, I went to the afternoon, I decided to take the session. And I spent about an hour working into it, and then I decided, this is a lot harder because it's not open book, and the formula you need. So I turned around and everything else, went back to the table. And I said, I got 60 questions to get done. I got 3 hours. Believe it or not, I finished the 60 questions in 2 hours. I'm picturing this as a built-out train set. Oh, I'd like to have something like that. Where are we put it? Yeah, okay. Well, good luck with it. Well, put it on BJ. Yeah, well, I won't go for that. I would fill that up. I mean, does this thing come apart? Yeah, you probably don't want to get into a situation get come fetch. I've seen some on there, but I've looked at them every once in a while, and they come and fetch them apparently, because they disappear. But I don't have a room. You need a room like this one, like that. He was a diehard. Yeah, I've tried to do something like that. And then I look at the cost, and I look at reality, and now that's not. I mean, I've seen people run tracks along the quoted ceiling. How many times did you go? Once? Well, the guy in Schenectady, who did you take that Schenectady? Oh, they did when I was doing the Ramada Edge. And yeah, of course, you get all these substances and low test. And there's one guy there, yeah, I see somebody come in, but they take the test, and they come in, they got a stack of books like this. Then they come back the second time, they got a stack of books like this. Then they come back the third time, they've only got 4 or 5 books in them. He says, I've never seen these guys. But it was funny, I was actually below the FD, one guy there, his buddy, and his buddy, good this tonight. I don't think it's very good time for the job. What they go in there, they hope for inspiration.
Yes.
I didn't have it. I did an old study and, well, the one thing I learned is, don't try to go take the test 25 years into your brain. See, when I was my college, or my position.
Yeah, they just have to do supper is like.
Oh, they dropped it in the civil, in the mechanical. In fact, the early seniors take 8 to 10 years. But the electrical at that time, we were told not to take it. Well, we industry, and then another question for you, and the question is, the guy who gets this software is required to be a licensed PE, but the guy developing the software is not required to be a licensed PE. And they finally came around the whole thing and said everybody has to be licensed. You can't use the industry exception. The military, now, if you were military, that wasn't a problem. But if you were a civilian, so if you wanted to be above 3 and 12, you had to do good luck in selling. No, it's great. Especially he's in trouble again. Well, hey, Mike. When I start seeing you show up in these suits, then I know he's rubbing off. But I wouldn't go out like a work site just with that. Otherwise, that's gonna work.
In like the top 4 or 5.
I get rid of that. That's like the father who turned into because he saw the stuff there about he does. When he started looking at it, they didn't work at it.
Well, her little granddaughter was there. I wonder if she did something.
What's that?
Her little granddaughter had just come down the stairs with her. I really
Just like the invoice is festival. So then we're yeah, exactly. Perfect. So, She's
I come in here one couple years ago, it's all like old clock. Then the Lake Street, there were bars and stuff. Across the next of all the bars, they're off, they're building. I always knew them to be jewelers, I didn't know they were eye doctors. Dr. Doc's very close to the area. Then Dr. Fraser, he lives across the we're on the road. My in-law down there, budget, they're asking me to, they have
I was watching a Netflix documentary on the problems of transporting waste without people are actually stealing food products because they can make so much money reselling them. It's a shame, it really is just.
But I haven't seen anything.
Not a good thing. You order things from out of the area, or you can go down.
Oh, God. She's over 26. Well, let's go. Mormons are very conservative. Yeah, they're very conservative.
I don't know what it is.
Right, David? Open the door. Yeah. And you know, I said, Dave, I said, was your dad's or mother's funeral? No, it was Lee. Oh, you started the Brownies. So then you're going every Lloyd, yeah. Most of them. Oh, shot. Usually things are little guys with little pencil butts. Really charming. Mohawks? Not Mohawks, though. No, I'm worse than you. I'm worse than you last time. That's why I read it. I do that with the, I have a floor of it, so I got to be there for 181. No tax. No tax. They say, and everyone gotta get them outside. What do you say? Because you gotta fresh look, fresh ideas. They don't hold you stuff like that. They're part of the union and stuff through the ranks. They tell me that
yeah, I mean, I'm sure. There's gotta be,
Parkerson. I don't know where it is. That's what he's doing. Always go. I mean, he's got a 25 pattern. Maybe more than come out and grab over 1. About 2% for every year. Only the 40 years over there. Yeah. I saw that. What he got. It's almost hot. I don't know.
But he's still doing a good job.
So the meeting was actually
What actually is the problem? What I'd rather not say. Get it personal.
Then he said he had to buy a track for it. The only number of drivers was one driver. I remember somebody else who said, why? If I got away, I was 2,000 miles away. That's right.
Sit down. Try
Guys are down to work for. She got the good. She must have lost money. Moving board and everything. They said a lot of people about those.
That's a sign of
Nail screen, moving board.
just punctured it.
I did too. Well, it's like certificates that say we did an over the phone 14 times. It's only about. And then he said there was some elbow world.
Remap the audio, but no, it's not. I think it's really
Looks like Bill Gates' presentation with the big face on the no, see the TV. As far as I know now. It's right in my neck.
For some reason, I'm taking offense.
I just need to go out. Basically,
So we're gonna be public.
That's why I see Mike did it red there.
Well, somebody told me you got better, you got lady in front of me, you got better. Next to hear these things. Got it. That's Open a tape like Mike Kelly. He didn't say anything he's never said here. I listened to it twice. I know, everything he always says in here. I'm not saying that negative is good, but my problem is we have one of those drains that flows. You had a brain a little drain. You've been using it for 10 years. I might have to take gravel. Oh, yeah? Wait for Very seldom. I saw them at the shore. I saw them at the Well, I was still waiting for those millions of dollars that the woman asked questions when I get them somewhere. When she was saying keep those four positions, we might get a lot of money from the end of the year. That's what she said. Thank you. Puerto Rican. Well, the same thing American. Because it's called Puerto Rican. Because it's darker than you. Oh, the guy touched me 40 years ago. That's all right. It's just like the guy that's been up forever. A judge, guy with a Polish off, Supreme Court judge. Thomas. He said, you don't ever say anything. He said, you don't have enough yet. You don't want to say this whole thing you bury your
This is me.
Michelle on there, I guess for submitting for council and our secretary.
Almost.
Sylvia, is Beth out there? Is Beth out there?
No, Chris didn't. Chris just finished.
We did the pledge of allegiance and get started.
We need to come back, we have to return from executive.
I guess we gotta wait for Dean.
Wait for Joe.
We discussed the whole thing.
I'd like to return from executive session. We discussed pending litigation with Mr. Farrington and Peters, potential litigation with town of Plattsburgh. We went to an executive session and I was given authority to sign a contract on behalf of the city of Plattsburgh involving publicity which substantially impact the value thereof, and discussed a personnel issue. So if we please begin with the meeting and roll call. Oh, pledge allegiance. Good. Pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And I do apologize for the delay. This was quite a long executive session tonight. Roll call, please.
Mayor Reed?
Present.
Counselor Armstrong?
Here.
Counselor Kelly?
Here.
Counselor Dowdle?
Here.
Counselor Ensel? Counselor McFarland?
Present.
Counselor Kretzer?
Here.
Mayor's comments. I think you've all noted the flooding outside. As fortunately it's abated. The governor's office has been very interested in the status of flooding in the city of Plattsburgh. As you know, it's been a concern all across the state. Quite a bit of flooding damage this winter. We are, sounds kind of weird to say, we are hoping that damage will exceed about $25 million statewide, and that would then make the city eligible for reimbursement for some of the costs of abating the flooding in our community alone. So we're monitoring that, and the governor's office has been very, very interested in this. And I think that's all I've got to report to you tonight.
Resolved that the minutes of the regular meeting of the Common Council held on February 22nd, 2018 are approved and placed on file among the public records of the city clerk's office.
And moved by Councillor Kelly and second by Councillor Dowdle. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed.
Resolved that the payrolls of the various departments of the city of Plattsburgh for the week ending February 28, 2018 in the amount of $460,814.97 are authorized and allowed, and the mayor and the city clerk are hereby empowered and directed to sign warrants drawn on the city chamberlain for the payment thereof.
Moved by Councillor Kretzer and second by Councillor Dowdle. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
This time, we'd like to have you offer any reports from your various committees. We go in the order of the committees. Could I please begin with Councillor Kretzer on behalf of Governance, Strategy, and City Operations?
We had our meeting just previous to the work session, and we discussed issues regarding taxi fares. Councilor Armstrong and I are putting together a committee of taxi cab owners who are going to be looking at the process, the fare structure, any insight they may have into why there should be an increase in fares within the city of Plattsburgh. So we're working on ongoing efforts with that issue. There were a few resolutions to be considered for special events, 2 5Ks, and the approval of 2018 street drives, permission to advertise for info booth for 2018. There was was a talk with the Plattsburgh Farmers and Crafters Market Group, and also Lake Forest Senior Living Community, working to get some brush and trees cleaned out of the area. There is the Saranac River Trail to install some public sculptures within the city at no cost. And let's see, and also to accept the parking study by Carl Walker Incorporated for the downtown. So the motion to accept the parking study to be able to use that for future planning in downtown. And all of these items were moved by committee with the exception of number 5, which was the request from the Plattsburgh Farmers and Crafters Market, where they're going to go back to their membership to discuss some issues that would have impact on our decisions.
Thank you. City Infrastructure, Councilor Ensel is unable to be with us tonight. Don't think we have another representative to discuss city infrastructure, so let's move on to Finance and Budget with Councilor Kelly.
I had no additional news tonight, Mayor.
Your next meeting will be next week?
2 weeks.
2 weeks from now?
Yes.
Public Safety, Councilor Dowdle.
Yes, we met last Thursday on the 22nd of February. At that time, we heard reports from the representatives from the police and fire department. The topic of conversation was the active shooter protocol and ambulance fees. We heard from Chief Lawless, who outlined their role in an active shooting situation, the new format of billing ambulance fees and the process. The police department was represented by both lieutenants who spoke about an active shooter policy. And we talked about the narcotic situation in the city of Plattsburgh and their involvement with such. Most informative. Unfortunately, it's a hot topic of the day.
Thank you. Plattsburgh Public Library, Councilor Armstrong.
Well, I did attend the trustees meeting on last Tuesday. However, because of technical difficulties, I'm going to ask that I postpone my report till next Thursday when I can actually talk to people rather than a blue screen.
Okay.
Certainly, thank you. I'd like to then be resolved that the reports are as listed are hereby ordered, received, and any written reports are placed on file among the public records of the city clerk's office. And I have a first is Councilor Kretzer and a second from Councilor Kelly. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Pass. We have no correspondence, recommendation from boards at this time, so please continue with audited claims.
Resolved that the bills audited by the Common Council for the week ending March 2nd, 2018 in the amount of $480,158.40 are authorized and allowed, and the mayor and the city clerk are hereby authorized and directed to sign warrants drawn on the city chamberlain for the payment thereof.
Moved by Councilor Kelly, second by Councilor Dowdle. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. It's an opportunity for any individuals who would like to please come and address the council on issues that are going to be dealt with on the agenda tonight. There will be another public comment period at the end of our meeting as well. So please come forward. Seeing none, let's continue, please.
Resolved in accordance with the request, therefore, the Common Council approves Virginia Brady to hold the 5K Forward for Recovery at the Plattsburgh City Beach on Saturday, June 9, 2018, with proceeds to benefit the Champlain Valley Family Center.
Moved by Councilor Kelly, second by Councilor McFarland. Your first motion. Congratulations. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilor Armstrong?
Yes.
Councilor Kelly?
Yes.
Councilor Dowdle?
Yes.
Councilor McFarland?
Yes.
Councilor Kretzer?
Yes.
Resolved in accordance with the request, therefore, the Common Council approves the Plattsburgh Farmers and Crafters Market Group to manage the farmers market for the 2018 market season from May 12th through October 6th, 2018. Signed licenses agreement fee and insurance proof is required.
I'd like to make a motion to table the resolution.
Moved by Councilor
Second.
Kretzer, second by Councilor Armstrong. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed.
You need a roll call first.
A roll call, I'm sorry.
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Dowdle?
Yes.
Counselor McFarland?
Yes.
Counselor Kretzer?
Yes.
Resolved in accordance with the request, therefore the Common Council approves the 2018 street drives.
Moved by Councillor Kelly and second by Councillor Dowdle. Discussion? Roll call?
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Dowdle?
Yes.
Counselor McFarland?
Yes.
Counselor Kretzer?
Yes.
Resolved in accordance with the request, therefore the Common Council authorizes the mayor to sign a license agreement with Lake Forest Senior Living Community
I'd
Inc.
like to make a motion to move the reading, or waive the reading and move the resolution, please.
Second.
Moved by Councillor Kretzer, second by Councillor Armstrong. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Discussion on the item itself? Roll call.
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Dowdle?
Yes.
Counselor McFarland?
Yes.
Counselor Kretzer?
Yes.
Resolved in accordance with the request, therefore the Common Council approves city clerk to advertise for 2018 info booth lease.
Moved by Councillor Kretzer, second by Councillor McFarland. Discussion? Roll call?
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Dowdle?
Yes.
Counselor McFarland?
Yes.
Counselor Kretzer?
Yes.
Whereas on July 6, 2017, the Common Council approved a resolution to allow Friends of the Saranac River Trail to place and install between 2 to 5 public sculptures on city property at no cost to the city. Now therefore be it resolved that the mayor is hereby authorized to sign a memorandum of understanding with the Friends of the Saranac River Trail in furtherance of the aforementioned resolution.
Moved by Councillor Kretzer, second by Councillor Kelly. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Dowdle?
Yes.
Counselor McFarland?
Yes.
Counselor Kretzer?
Yes.
Resolved in accordance with the request, therefore the Common Council approves Adirondack Coast Events and Fleet Feet to change the route of the Shamrock Shovel 5K approved by council on February 1st, 2018 to start and finish at Valcourt Brewing Company on March 17th with race beneficiary to be the foundation of CBPH.
Moved by Councillor McFarland, second by Councillor Kelly. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Dowdle?
Yes.
Counselor McFarland?
Yes.
Counselor Kretzer?
I'm going to abstain. I should have probably recused myself just because I have some affiliations.
So we still have 4 votes, 4 affirmative votes. Okay, thank you.
Resolved in accordance with the request, therefore the Common Council approves accepting the February 2018 parking study report by Carl Walker Inc.
Moved by Councillor Kelly and second by Councillor Dowdle. Discussion?
I have a question. By accepting the parking study, what does that commit us to? Is it, we're just accepting the parking study?
Correct, and it will then become public. This would be an opportunity for us to begin a public process to decide how the council would like to finally make a series of your own changes to parking.
So not the decisions of how the parking will take place, just the findings and the studies, we can use that to move forward.
Right, so we're not committed.
Correct. By no
To any project, no.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Roll call?
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Dowdle?
Yes.
Counselor McFarland?
Yes.
Counselor Kretzer?
Yes.
This time I'd like to introduce local law P3 of 2018, a local law adding section 270-28-J under chapter 2070, article 5, supplementary regulations of the city code of the city of Plattsburgh, a local law imposing a moratorium on commercial cryptocurrency mining operations in the city of Plattsburgh. I'd like to set a public hearing for 5 p.m. on March 15th, 2018. I'd like to add just a very short commentary. The purpose of this is just to allow us some time to explore this issue. We've been asked to address this by our municipal lighting division. once or twice or a few times, increasingly now with the great use of additional power. We are put over our threshold each winter. And when we're put over our threshold, the ratepayers of the city of Plattsburgh do pay a higher electric rate as a consequence. So we want to explore these various issues, understand the effects on our ratepayers, find if there's a Public Services Commission solution to this, and we need a little bit of time to explore that. So we'll be having more information and discussion and a public hearing on this in 2 weeks' time. By the way, some of the concerns we have also are health and safety concerns. These are a legitimate concern for our code enforcement and building inspector's office as well. So I've set that date. No travel requests at that time. Are there any items for initial consideration? Can I ask for councilor reports and new business at this time? I'd like to excuse myself for just a moment if you'd like to be able to offer any additional councilor reports.
Is this a missed opportunity of some sort?
Yeah.
Here still? Thank you. I'd like to offer up one piece of new business. I'd like to hand down the appointment of Matthew Miller as Provisional Director of Community Development at a range 9 and step 7, effective pending civil service review. We expect that can be completed tomorrow, so it'll be effective tomorrow pending civil service review. And I ask for a roll call, please.
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Dowdle?
Yes.
Counselor McFarland?
Yes.
Counselor Kretzer?
Yes.
Are there any other new business or council reports at this time? Seeing none, this is a second opportunity for public comment. At this time, we ask you to please address the council for any issues of mutual concern. Please.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
I just want to make a few comments about the administration's handling of city finances and budgets. Over the last year, the administration's discussion of city finances has really fixated on budget cuts and the expense side of the budget equation. And I think to the detriment of thoroughly brainstorming and planning for new revenue streams and discussing the revenue side of the equation. I'm talking specifically here about generating cash flow from new revenue sources, not about raising the tax rate. For example, last summer, before the city sold the farm and caved on its marina expansion plans, the mayor stated he didn't want to consider an expanded marina's revenue potential or put it in its budget projections because it was too speculative compared to managing the expenses the city knew with more certainty were coming down the pike. Here's the thing, though. Projecting revenue is always more speculative than projecting expenses. That's the nature of the budgeting game. I know because I've helped dozens of businesses develop their budgets in my line of work as it is. A city, nonprofit, or business that doesn't make revenue its main focus, to paraphrase Councilor Kelly, might as well close up shop. I'm not a big fan of comparing cities to businesses, But here's the case where the analogy works. Say you're running a retail business. Sure, you can drastically reduce...
Okay.
We can meet us there.
Hey, Rochelle.
Rochelle.
5 minutes. Yes.
Sorry, no, it's your, sorry.
Hopefully that doesn't count on my time. So say you're running a retail business.
Sorry.
Say you're running a retail business. Sure, you can drastically reduce the amount of product you buy and put on your shelves and have more direct control of your cash flow there compared to speculating about sales from future or potential customers. But if you let your shelves empty out, you'll enter into a downward spiral that you'll never come out of. You'll be sending a message to your potential revenue streams, your customers, that you lack confidence, that worse is to come, and your customers will start shopping elsewhere. You'll be worse off than when you started. The same applies to a city when a city makes austerity its main financial strategy. On top of that, when the administration actually has spoken about new revenue streams, it can't seem to think of options outside of developing on the Durkee Street lot because, quote, the city has, this is what the mayor and Councilor Armstrong have said, the city has little room to grow. Both the mayor and Councilor Armstrong have brought this up and brought up the lack of empty developable land as a reason to force through a project that has never had any public support. Again, here's the thing. Many cities grow even after they run out of developable land. That is what makes them cities and not suburbs in the first place. They grow by adding intensity to existing lots and buildings, by upgrading buildings and maximizing their productivity. In a city with so many underutilized buildings, there is an incredible potential to add to city revenue over time there. In fact, our existing buildings provide much more bang for the buck than new developments. Clinton Street's buildings, on average, are worth $3.8 million per acre, whereas a development like College Suites is only worth $934,000 an acre. Imagine what could be done with a greater focus on existing buildings. Not only is there more bang for your buck there, you don't have to deal with the hassle of completely overhauling the city's parking or risk a large-scale developer not pulling through or fulfilling their promises on Durkee Street. That is what Strong Towns is all about. Strong Towns focuses on the revenue side of the equation and the incredible potential to add value to our city by getting more out of our existing buildings and building off of what is already working. Thank you.
Thanks, Jermaine.
Thank you.
Any other individuals, please come forward.
Hello. So I also have my own concerns about the Durkee Street lot and I don't know if anybody up here has had the opportunity to actually read what some of the things are in it. Basically what's going to happen, what they're proposing is not only paid parking, which as I come to understand didn't work in the past, but also more on-street parking, which wouldn't be available to us during the winter months when they're because of how we remove snow. So it's definitely, I hope the councilors would consider that it's definitely needed that we have the Durkee Street lot, which is 65% of the off-street parking downtown, not only for people coming into the town to shop at our stores, but for the people who live downtown that need off-street parking for when there's a parking ban, because of course snow removal is key. I also want to talk about furthering making Plattsburgh a sanctuary city. I do think it is necessary with the recent climate, particularly at Plattsburgh State. We are, as we see over the years, our community does have there is racism in our community, and it is thankfully becoming even more visible, so that way we can address it. And I think that it is time that we do it, considering how close we are to Canada, that we are the only city between Albany and Montreal, and Albany has also declared themselves a sanctuary city, so I don't see the reason why Plattsburgh cannot also. I know some of the threats made by President Trump have been that they would take away funding to rural hospitals, but considering how we get our funding from Vermont, we don't necessarily have that threat. So really, there is no downside to this, as these people who would be best supported by declaring ourselves a sanctuary city are already our friends and neighbors. So, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to excuse myself.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Michelle.
Any individuals, other individuals like to please come up and address the council on any issue of mutual concern? Seeing none, thank you. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Moved by Councillor Kretzer and second by Councillor Kelly. Roll call.
Counselor Armstrong left.
Yep.
Counselor Kelly.
Yes.
Counselor Dowdle.
Yes.
Counselor McFarland.
Yes.
Counselor Kretzer.
Yes.
Thanks very much, folks.
Long one.
Sign these. Pass them down to Josh. Joe. How are you?